4AGE is one old motor. It's quite archaic. And yet, it is known as a legendary Japanese engine from its era. And it continues to have relevance still today. It is quite shocking as it is derived from an engine design first released in 1978 with a single camshaft head. Toyota later came out with two versions of twin cam head, one for economy and one for sport. The sporty one, called the 4AGE, came out in 1983. They say it's a copycat of the Cosworth BDA. Just as the 4AGE was a performance derivative of the economy Toyota A-series engine, the BDA is an evolution of another economy engine, the Ford Kent. Oddly, they share the same bore, stroke, and valve size, with their cams both driven by a belt. But of course, Yamaha, the chief architect of most special Toyota engines, was too smart to be directly infringing on the British design. Therefore, there are no part similarities between the two. Therefore, looking at the 16-valve 4AGE will remind you of great racing engine technology of the 70s. But today's 2022, and 50 years is a long time ago as far as technology is concerned. This is the primary reason why I think the 4AGE sucks. Don't believe that the 4AGE sucks? Don't ask me. Ask legendary tuner Mike Kojima. He has an article why the engine sucks. If he says it sucks, that's good enough for me. But let me mention what about the engine that he says is the sucky parts. First issue is the block. Toyota was watching the scales, not wanting the block to be very heavy. It's an iron block. It's supposed to be strong, but how they designed it, it was kinda weak. Unable to handle a lot of revs without a lot of custom engineering. Toyota themselves had to revise the casting from the 3-rib design to a 7-rib casting for more strength for the later 20 valves. The platform was also too small dimensionally. Tuners couldn't practically increase displacement more than 1.8 liters. It also had a weak crank with two small main journal sizes that allowed the crank to snap given enough revs. This was also revised in later engines. And finally, it had a weak oil pump that tended to shatter and sustain high RPMs. Today, there's an OEM oil pump that you could buy that will allow you to rev safely to 9,000 RPM. If you want more revs, there's an aftermarket oil pump gear. It lets you rev beyond 9,000 RPM. And finally, the sucky part of the 4AGE is the 20-valve head. Yes, I agree. 5 valves in the head allows more breathing. But the benefit of increased cylinder head flow is actually quite low. Experts say it's less than 5% benefit. Plus, the more holes in the cylinder head, the more prone it is to warp and crack when overheated. Sure, I bet you're gonna comment in this video that I don't know what I'm talking about, that you have a Corolla that has a 20 valve and it's fast, and that I suck. Well, you haven't driven my Elantra with a 2.7 liter V6 engine. I know what a decently fast 90s economy segment car is. And probably, even though my car's a Hyundai, it's probably faster than your 4AGE. Admit it, the 4AGE is not a very powerful engine. The 16 valve is maybe 120, 130 horsepower, naturally aspirated. Yes, the silver top and black top 20 valve engines got to the mythical 100 horsepower per liter mark. But, let me remind you, they are saddled with an iron block. I did propose in a previous video that the 1NZFE engine, which is an economy power plant designed to sip fuel, is probably faster on a straight line than a 4AGE. I haven't tested the hypothesis, but I believe it is true. Engine is all aluminum, it's way lighter than a 4AGE, and therefore, this engine to a silver top, the power to weight ratio is similar. So yeah, the 4AGE sucks. Accept it, guys. But don't you worry. Like you guys, I will also be a silly person because I will be building my very own 4AGE. And I'll be putting it in a Corolla. But why? Quite simple. I do like how the 4AGE sounds. 4AGE for me is a musical instrument, quite fitting to its roots being designed by Yamaha. I want to drive a sweet-sounding, high-revving motor and place it in this Corolla big body shell that's lying around. My recipe for a 4AGE is as follows. One 4AGZE engine. So this one we have on hand. This features the 7-rib block, small port heads, and distributor-less ignition. If it had higher compression pistons, this would have been more perfect as a naturally aspirated build platform. Since this is an original supercharged engine, it has low compression pistons. But anyway, we'll make do with that one. We just wanted to make noise. Power is optional. We also have one 20-valve silver top individual throttle body set. So the silver top has 40mm throttle bodies. For us, the perfect size for modest power and RPM goals. The thing is, it doesn't bolt on to the 16-valve engine. So one challenge is to figure out how to mount it correctly. We also have a black top 20-valve exhaust camshaft. We're gonna modify it to make it work as an intake cam. And speaking of the valve train, we'll also have adjustable cam gears. This will allow us to set the power band to where we want it. So if we want to rev it at 9,000 RPM, we want the power band be somewhat at the high RPM level. Okay, we won't get low-end torque, but at least when we rev it, it's gonna feel good the more RPMs we put at it. We'll also put in a brand new oil pump with the better gears. So this is the revision part that would allow us to sustain 9,000 RPMs on the car. We can't afford the aftermarket stuff. We'll just make do with a brand new revised oil pump. And of course, we'll put in a programmable engine management system. If we had extra money, we'll put in a lightweight flywheel because a lighter flywheel make it rev better. If we can afford high compression pistons, we'll also put it so that the car gains more power all over the RPM range. There are a lot of other small items needed to stuff it into our big body shell. It's a big project. Cash flow is very limited nowadays. We have other projects on the pipeline, still working on certain things. So we'll definitely take our time on this one. We will be building an engine that sounds great, and that should be enough for us. Slow or fast, who cares? But the project should be fun to do and relatively easy given all the information in the internet and all the local people who know this engine by heart. So there's a lot of people I could ask for advice. The only limit is, of course, our finances. So it will take us time to do it. But we are looking forward to work on it slowly over the next year or so. We will update you on the progress. But until then, this is it for now. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.